Welcome, everybody. This is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. Every week, we bring you the stories of people who are making the world around them better. They do this locally, globally, and digitally. We think that's cool. There is a joy and meaning that comes from service to others. That's a part of how we think in Rotary. Rotary is 1.2 million people across 36,000 clubs around the world. Ours is one of those clubs. The Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley is not only online, it is also asynchronous. So we post our meetings early Monday morning. They're available all the way until Sunday night, and that allows our crazy busy but heart for service group that make up our club that flexibility that they need to be able to be a part of something really interesting and inspirational. We think that interesting and inspirational describe the story that you're about to hear in a wonderful way. So the organization that we have contacted about this is GoodVision. GoodVision is an organization that saw a phenomenal need not getting addressed and have done something really amazing for it. We have both the executive director of GoodVision USA, Matt Gianino, and the founder of GoodVision, Martin Aufmuth. And we are very excited to have you both with us. Welcome to the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley.
Thank you very much, Rishton. It's such a pleasure to be here and to share with you all a bit about Good Vision, what we do, and why we do it. I titled this presentation today, Hiding in Plain Sight, pun intended, about how our organization has come up with a $1 answer to solving one of the largest issues globally, affecting about 1 billion people around the world. Right now, there's about 1 billion people around the world that are having significant issues, having a self-determined, fulfilling life. And as a result, the experience of these billion people around the world are that children are struggling in school and lose on average 4 to 6 months of learning every year. Parents are struggling to find meaningful, sustainable work and provide for their families, which is resulting in about $411 billion in economic lost productivity every year. And older adults are not fully engaged in their communities and face about a 16% increase in mortality risk, all because they don't have access to vision care and glasses. And the remarkable thing about this is that this issue doesn't require some newfangled technology or solution. It requires a solution that's been around for about 700 years, and it can be solved for as little as $1, and that is a pair of glasses. So Good Vision over the last 14 years has come up with a pretty unique model to address this global vision care crisis. It's considered the #1 unmet disability in the world. Martin's going to tell you a little bit more about this model, what it is and how it works. But generally, what I would say is our solution is particularly inexpensive. Like I was mentioning, on the raw materials for a pair of glasses that we provide our beneficiaries and patients only cost about $1. The solution that we have is uniquely scalable as well. Martin's going to tell you a little bit more about our global footprint and how we're addressing the needs in communities across the global south. And our model is uniquely sustainable as well. We're creating infrastructure and capacity that exists today, but will exist tomorrow in years from now, long after Martin and I are no longer part of Good Vision. To date, over the last 14 years, we've delivered over 1 million pairs of glasses to people who have never had access to glasses or vision care before. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Martin, who'll dive into a little bit more detail about the work that we're doing and how we're having the kind of impact that we're having.
Yeah, when I heard of this problem, Matt was telling you about approximately 1 billion of people worldwide who would need glasses and don't have access to. I started in the basement of our home to develop eyeglasses. That time I was a mathematics physics teacher, but I thought this is really a big problem and let's try to find a solution. And the first time I tried here was in one of the East African countries. Here we see a girl called Angelique in Rwanda on the bending machine, where you can produce the glasses on a very simple bending machine like this. You put the wire in, then you make a 90-degree angle. We can do this several times here on the presentation, and you see a yellow, a red, and a blue mark on this bending machine for small, medium, and large frames. When you have done this, then you take this bending device and you make the round shape for the nose and for the lenses, and you do some adjustments of the frame, and then you can take pre-cut lenses from, nowadays we have -10 to +10 diopters, and you simply click in the lenses and the glasses are ready. That's a very simple technique. We can take this plastic box with the lenses in very remote places and immediately do eyeglasses. In Latin America, they call the project Lentes al Instante, means the instant glasses. Here you see a cow, or you maybe don't see it, with +5 diopters. Here's the difference. If you don't see the difference, maybe you should talk to your optician. And because of lack of a lot of opticians and optometrists, experts talking about 100,000 or even more experts, we do also trainings here, a team in India. We developed an own optical best focal correction training, and we start with very simple training here, basic information of the eye for people who really don't have a lot of school background. And here going with different lenses, plus lenses, also very, very simple explanation, which makes the ants big, and minus lenses, which makes the tree small. And it's a very interactive course, training course. So they are explaining them to each other, they are doing experiments, and they're really able, after 1 or at least 2 weeks, to do a simple best spherical correction, means finding the right prescription and the right lenses for the patients. Here's one of our teams in India, and they go really to very remote places. Sometimes the trip is very difficult, and it's also heavy for them to carry all this luggage, even if we reduce it to a minimum with the steel frames and with the lenses. And then they talk to the people. They do awareness in the rural areas, here with a leaflet in rural Odisha, which is a state in the southeast of India, near Calcutta, talking to people. And often they even don't know that they would need eyeglasses. They have only an idea of somehow not seeing well, or maybe if they are elderly people, they know in former times they've seen better. They come to us and they ask sometimes for eye drops. And then we have to explain to them it's not a problem we can solve with eye drops, but we have to solve with a pair of eyeglasses. This is the eye test with a very simple vision chart here in Malawi, in a school in Blantyre in the south of Malawi. And the most important moment is always when people go out the first time with their new pair of eyeglasses, like this woman, and she saw the birds in the tree the first time in her life, and she was really, really amazed what she's seeing now. Some people, they see the village they live in first time. Sometimes they see their husband, their wife, I don't know. So they see a lot of things and people they never seen before. Or this elderly woman in 4,000-meter height in Bolivia in the Altiplano. Yeah, we are going to different remote places in 11 countries worldwide, here at a side river of the Amazonas river called Rio Xingu, at the people of the Xingu. And it's a bit like bringing eyeglasses to the Stone Age. And this man, it took him 15 minutes to try with and without glasses and to see the difference which happened to him and his eyes. Here at the Altiplano, 4,000-meter height, very harsh environment conditions. On the Sun Island, here elderly people, 2 girls, pair of glasses. Here, this man, it's an onion vendor in India, and he came to us in the morning and he said he's no longer able to count his money when he's selling the onions. And he had no money, unfortunately, so he asked us if he can get the glasses before in the morning and paying later. And we gave him the pair of glasses, and in the evening he came back very proud. He made a a good shop that day, sold a lot of onions, and then he was able to pay the glasses. Or this woman in the also at the Amazonas River called Alcenich. I met her a few years ago, and she already got a pair of eyeglasses from us. And she told us one day when she was on the river in her canoe, a branch knocked her head, and then the eyeglasses dropped into the brown floods, and she was really desperate because she needs the glasses for sewing the clothes for her children and grandchildren. And all her 3 sons, they had to dive more than 3 hours in the brown floods of this river. And after 3 hours, then one of her sons brought out back the pair of eyeglasses, which was really, for me, an emotional story. We are here in different countries, Africa, Latin America, India, Nepal is the youngest project. And here, for example, is a team in Burkina Faso, a very different, a very complicated country because a lot of terrorism and 2 million approximately refugees in the country. Here, the team in India. And yeah, what we are also doing is cataract screening and also organizing the surgery, because cataract with 60 million people worldwide who would need a surgery is the second biggest number after the 1 billion of people who need eyeglasses. So we are organizing the trip, we are organizing the surgery, and afterwards people can see again. We also use AI for screening the eye, for the eye background, and also finding out some eye diseases with it, represented here one time at UNESCO, or one time was also here in your base in the Silicon Valley. We got the Tech Award here from John Sobrato, also a famous GoodVision glasses person. And we're also founding members of the SPECS initiative at in Geneva of the WHO. And here's my last slide from Malawi. Thanks a lot.
That is wonderful. Oh my goodness. I am so excited for us to be able to jump into the questions on this. Fantastic. The first thing I'd like to do, though, is introduce the group that we've got on the recording. So, viewers, listeners, you've met Matt, who is the executive director of GoodVision USA. You've met Martin, who is the founder of GoodVision. We have 3 of our members here. I am Rushton. I am in San Jose, California. Also in the San Francisco Bay Area is Deacon Christopher Major. Good to see you, sir. And our secretary of our club is Steve Munns. He is in England. Steve, good to see you and good afternoon. All right. Well, let's dive into this. So, tons of questions. As always, for the group, you can let me know you have a question, and I'll recognize you. We'll go from there. Or you can also put in the chat that you have a question, and we can work it that way. And I think I read that your first international trip was in Uganda. This was in 2012, perhaps? Martin, how did you end up going from this is something I can do in your basement in Germany to being on the ground in Uganda? What was that process like?
Yeah. Basically, I read about this problem in a book. It's called Out of Poverty of Paul Polak. And he's writing that there's a problem of some 100 million of people worldwide who would need glasses and don't have access, and saying something about there should be a pair of something like $1 glasses for people who can afford glasses for $1. So, and I thought, big problem should be solved by the WHO or by UN or somebody like, which is a big institution. Yeah, but the same day I by accident came across with my bicycle at the €1 shop in our little town, and there were glasses available for €1. And I thought, somehow strange. Yeah, here in Germany you get glasses for €1, and the people have quite a lot of money compared to people in Africa, where glasses are very expensive or maybe even not available. And this discrepancy, I thought, there I started the process doing some research in internet, looking at patterns, what's existing, and I found out there was really a market gap in the supply of glasses. And then I started in my in the basement of my home. It's 4 square meters. I share with my wife for the washing machine and everything. So and some months later, I came out of the basement with this pair of glasses, and then I developed this bending machine and everything. And then I got an invitation of a group of eye doctors, of ophthalmologists who wanted to go to Uganda for surgery, for cataract surgery. And they asked me if I would like to join them because there's nothing with eyeglasses. And I decided, yes, that's the perfect opportunity. We went there, 40 kilometers outside of Kampala, and there were approximately 500 people waiting already for surgery, for glasses, for everything. The Prince of Uganda, of Buganda, the Kingdom of Uganda, organized the whole activity. And this was my first field experience. And it worked. I lost 5 kg of weight because I had no time to eat too much during these 2 weeks. But I found out there are people they can produce the classes. I can train them. There was a young team of 5 people, and I found out that the patients they need the classes, they like the classes, and they make a really huge difference in their life. And when I came back, I continued of improving the machine. Then there was the first TV, 3 minutes TV thing, and then it's, quite fast. It started to raise also awareness in my environment, and some people in Bavaria they joined and they gave us some money, and that was the start.
Perfect. Some of the very best stories that we've had the chance to share with our club and through our YouTube and podcast channels have shown that there's not only a good way to treat an issue, but to create the conditions under which you can help people affected by the issue handle the issue themselves. And so you not only came up with this way of approaching building glasses, you created the box that is the factory for people to be able to essentially build their own in these different places. Do I have that right?
Yeah, and we built up systems. So if you see the picture, for example, in Burkina Faso with our 70 people team, there's a management. There's Thierry, for example, who is really a social entrepreneur in the best sense. He tries to change the environment there, to talk to the government. He now also trains nurses of the government. It's planned to train some 100 nurses during the next couple of years, that we can also reach the remote areas where the terrorists are, and we cannot go with our own teams. So he really tries to change the system of basic eye care in Burkina. And as well, like Thierry, we have also this kind of social entrepreneurs in other countries, and they will come to Germany in 7 days' time. We will have our big annual meeting here, where we have 1 week of exchange of ideas, best practices, and what went well, what went wrong, the biggest mistake of the last year, which is also important to learn. So it's a very active community in different countries. For example, in Brazil, we have maybe the biggest campaign ever for school kids in the whole state of Paraná, with 500,000 school kids get also eye testing during 8 months. At the moment, it's currently running with approximately 14 teams with 10 people each. And yeah, I think the next biggest activity was approximately 40,000 in Shanghai some time ago. So they are really creative as entrepreneurs.
That's excellent. So, a little bit about how those partnerships become these kinds of projects. And Matt, you may want to speak to this. Just the basic idea that, hey, we have this incredible system. We have a group, like a small group of highly effective people who have a heart to make this work. What is it that allows you to scale up from dropping into a village in Uganda to 500,000 kids tested in Paraná and Brazil? What kinds of processes in terms of the business of GoodVision have allowed that?
Yeah. What a great question. I think the brilliance of GoodVision, and by the way, I've only been with the organization for almost 2 years, so relatively new member. But one of the elements of the GoodVision model that really drew me in was what I describe as our hyper-local business model, our approach to solving the global vision care crisis. And in the wisdom of Martin and the team in the early days, they realized that the traditional social development models that existed were not sustainable. And so what typically happens is that donated glasses and volunteers get flown in from Europe or from US and elsewhere. They come and they do beautiful work for a week or two, and then they leave. And then the community is left with out long-term resources to tap into. So when their prescription changes, where do they go? If they lose their glasses or they break, or if they have a family member who has a need, there's no systems in place, as Martin was talking about, in order for us to provide the fall care that's so essential. So what we've been doing and our focus has been on is how do we create local high quality vision care capacity in every community that we enter so that it is being driven by locally hired, locally trained, and locally resourced individuals. So not only are we creating this powerful vision care capacity across the globe, but it's also an economic engine as well. So as a result, because of these social entrepreneurs that we've identified, like Martin's example of Peri and Burkina Faso, we have now almost 600 employees who are not only making competitive wages and providing for themselves and for their families, but they have careers as healthcare providers. And these are in areas where jobs and careers are very difficult to come by. So we're actually tackling several different issues simultaneously. We have the health issue in terms of vision care, but we also have the economic issue that exists as well in these communities. So our philosophy and our values drive all of our decision making, and that is how do we make sure that these communities we're not creating greater dependency on outside resources, so greater independence, and how do we make sure that our model is infused with dignity as well, so that not only are the employees and the providers getting what they need, but the patients and beneficiaries are as well. So because of these values, it's kind of a no-brainer for me in terms of its alignment with my own personal values. So that's why I joined the organization, but it has also led to the kinds of scale and impact and the growth that we were describing earlier, because we're creating systems that work day in, day out to provide the needs for their communities. And by the way, these are strategies that are not being developed by Martin and myself, right? These are the local staff and leadership who understand the needs of their communities best, and they are shaping how best to serve those needs. And these are, in most cases, some of the most rural, remote communities. We tend to leave the urban centers where there is often other nonprofits and NGOs, and we focus on last mile, the most remote and under-resourced communities, because historically, they have not had access. In fact, most of the patients that we work with have not only never had vision care or a pair of glasses before, in most cases, they've never seen a healthcare provider before. So these are the communities that we particularly focus on, and it has served us well. We've grown from this one project, this one initiative 12 years ago to 11 programs across Asia, Africa, and South America, and we will serve about 250,000 people alone this year, and this is not including the project in Parna that Martin was talking about earlier. That's over and above that. So we're scaling quickly, and it takes a large community of support to make it happen.
Steve, I see you have a question. Go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, thank you, Rushton. Matt, how do you go about running all this? I mean, you're worldwide now. Is it just you who's going out there and organising everybody, or do you have other people actually doing it?
We have a global network of professionals and volunteers that support the work that we're doing. So in addition to those 600 employees that are doing the work on the ground, we have about 40 employees that are thinking about coordinating and thinking about strategy on a global scale as well. So we have a small, I think on a relative basis, a small but mighty team of individuals with various different skill sets and technical expertise. And Martin can speak to this even more than I can. But we have individuals who have optical training as opticians and optometrists within our team. We have people that are experts in some of the technical aspects of both the eye screenings, but also in optics and in the glasses and the solutions that we provide. But we have individuals that are coordinating volunteers and fundraising and communications and marketing and outreach. So we've become a global organization that is quite sophisticated, but very lean and efficient at the same time. So it takes all of us together to pull what we're pulling off. Martin, what did I miss?
Yeah, yeah, right, Matt. Thanks. Budget-wise, we are quite small organization compared to the big players in the market. But I would say strategically, we are doing a good job because of what I said, this social entrepreneurs on the ground who are leading our operations in 11 countries around the world. And that's what you say, Matt, they know how to create a difference in the system. Yeah. Some years ago, I had a student and he opened Burkina Faso. He came from Munich here in Germany, and he made a lot of plans, and he was a great thinker. And he went there and he gave me a call and said, Martin, it was great. Um, I forgot, I could forgot 80% of what I planned because everything is different. But he learned from our local team, and he was enthusiastic because his own horizon really grew in this experience. And I think the biggest mistake we can always do is that if people from the rich countries, yeah, wherever we come from, go to people in the global south and try to explain them what they should do. Normally, I say, I'm learning from you. And if I give them a call, I say, we are only doing brainstorming. So sometimes I also have a good idea, but I say, this is only an idea. And if you implement it or not, that's really on your side. So would never say you have to do something or you don't have.
I love that. In a sense, what you're talking about is aligning head and heart when wanting to make a difference, right? So the heart is I want to help. The head is understanding that you need to learn from the people that you are working with and that you hope to be of assistance to. So
Right.
so Christopher asked a question in a chat about the cost of the box, and I'm intrigued in that is by that idea as well. In part because for the head and heart kind of combination to work effectively, I can imagine that there would be clubs like Rotary clubs or Lions clubs and their focus on vision, right? They do great work around the world uh, where they would say, hey, can we help fund something that gets something started in a community so that in those places there would be the opportunity to be able to say, okay, we've identified the people, we have the equipment we need, we can do it. So what is the cost of a box that is the factory?
Yeah. The cost of such a factory, I would say the smallest eyeglasses factory maybe in the world is approximately $2,000 if you take all the devices and everything which is inside. It's a quite a special machine, very simple but high level materials which are used. That the main challenge I would say is not the machine. That the main challenge is even not the glasses, but the challenge for us is to reach people in remote areas which have never been reached before with eyeglasses. So today, after a couple of years of experience, I would say half of the worth of the value of our work is to to make the awareness of the people. Because if you don't know that you have an eyeglasses problem, you only know you have a bad vision, you don't see as others. And often people, they don't even think about it, that there could be a change. So they live in their village without thinking they could go to the city to visit an optician, even if it would an optician there. So going there, 1,000 kilometers out in the Altiplano in Bolivia, visiting villages there, talking to the people, giving them the first experience on how is the difference. Yeah, that's really the point. And later on, if they have their first pair of eyeglasses and they know how their life changed, that they can study at university or in school, that they can work again, that they can sew again, or whatever they can do again. Yeah, then the likeliness is much higher that later, if these glasses, some after maybe 10 years, they can also break. Yeah, they go to the optician and get a second pair. But by the way, they are quite flexible. If I take this one here, it's good quality and it's very simple. If the lens is broken, then you can just take it out, take a new one, and here we are again.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So What about the value of helping not just people in very remote areas, but I can imagine that there would be people in parts of the developed world where their communities are impoverished for any number of reasons. Has there been some discussion about how to use the technology and the approach that you've developed with GoodVision in places that are quite resource poor in developed parts of the world?
Yeah, for sure. The problem is at the moment with our 11 program countries and compared to our small budget compared to what they want to reach in their countries, yeah, we are quite limited currently to start new programs in other countries. Eastern Europe would be something, or other Asian, African, wherever you look into, it's a really an unsolved problem of 1 billion people worldwide, and our job is to create awareness and also to change systems where maybe there's not many resources needed, but we can increase our impact without increasing the resources at the same time. Yeah, by talking to government, by changing education, training of optical stuff. We trained, for example, some cataract surgeons in Malawi. We were part of the creation of this curriculum where people can learn to do a cataract surgery without studying as an ophthalmologist. Yeah, and that's what's needed. You can do it if you have enough experience to do it. Like you can learn some other handcraft things. Yeah, so
Well,
that's how we can do strategically a change. Yeah, but yeah, we would need some more funds to reach more people. It's a very simple calculation. Mm.
well, you seem to be in a fantastic position to scale a highly effective program. So really good. I see where we are with time. As we always do, we will keep asking some questions after we finish the recording because that's a perk of being in the Rotary Club of Silicon Valley is you get to meet these fascinating people who are doing these wonderful things. Um, but I want to take a moment before I hand it back to you for a final word. I want to take a moment just to thank everyone who has watched this video or listened to this podcast. The stories that allow us to understand that there is hope for making the world better are stories that many people need. They need to see these stories. They need to hear these stories. They need to have hope that things can get better. And the story of GoodVision is absolutely that kind of story. And we hope you will share the link to our video and our podcast and the links that we include on our pages to be able to learn more about the work they are doing and how you might choose to help. As we always like to do, we hand it back to our speakers for the final word. So, Martin and Matt, how shall we finish this off?
Just quickly, with a small story. I was at our polling place in town hall about this was a couple of years ago, and I had mistakenly left my glasses at home. I go into the booth, and the ballot is in front of me, and I can't read it. It was the first time since I've been wearing glasses for 6 years now, but it was the first time for me personally where I was kind of trying to navigate the world in a way that almost a billion people are trying to navigate every day. And even though my particular issue was small, I'm sharing that with you and your listeners today because at least 60% of your listeners right now wear either glasses or contact lenses. And if you take them off and if you try to make your way in the world without them, what that experience is like. This is a highly solvable issue. A billion people every day are struggling to find work and provide for their families and be fully engaged in schools and their communities because of something as simple as a dollar fix that was invented in Italy about 700 years ago. So my point in all of this is saying that this is a solution that's not only highly solvable, but it'll take a large community of people to help solve it. And I invite all of you to become part of that community. Even as little as $5 can go a long way to support the work that we are doing in Asia, Africa, and South America. So if you'd like to be part of the conversation and part of this global movement to change the way the world sees, highly encourage you, check out goodvisionusa.org, learn a little bit more about the work that we're doing. and consider making a donation, because we would love to have you as part of this community that we're building to change the way the world sees. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot to everyone who was watching the video. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hear or see or whatever some of you maybe in future. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so
Absolutely.
much. I appreciate it.
Everyone, we will see you next week.